Welcome back to our show, your show, Let's Talk Stocks. And in studio with us this morning is Miss Ruth Potopsingh. Of course, she's technical advisor at Environmental Solutions, and we're talking to her today.
It's my pleasure to be there.
So you were in exquisite company at the Jamaica Stock Exchange this morning, and you were doing the bell ringing for World Environment Health Day.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that. What exactly?
Well, for many years, we have been working, Environmental Solutions has been working in educating our country about the importance of the environment. And our business is that environment is good business. More and more, we are seeing a shift globally to environmental consciousness and the inclusion of good environmental practices in business development. There are several advantages to engaging with environment, engaging with all the practices that are related to good environmental management, because it is profitable to businesses, and it is profitable to the natural environment as well as to communities. It's about building a better quality of life for people.
I like the way you started, but it's quite a contradiction, because we've always known there's always this struggle between, on the one hand, the environment and the environmentalists,
Yes.
and the business and the capitalists on the other, who are looking to make a profit.
Yes.
And sometimes by their very practices, might cause unintended consequences. But the environmentalists have always been there to say, hey, hold on a bit. But you have managed to put it all together in a business where you're bringing together the business of the environment to show the benefits.
Absolutely. So we are not looking only at the ecological aspects, which is very important.
Yes.
Our natural resources are what we are really benefiting from. And it is important for us to take care of our natural resources. How do we take care of our natural resources? By not wantonly destroying them. We take care of our natural resources by protecting them. And we take care of our natural resources by managing them. So this dilemma between development and environment does not have to be a dilemma, because it's a win-win situation for all. So, for instance, if you have a mangrove area, which provides the nutrients for our coral reefs, and also acts as a buffer for stormwater drainage. If you destroy those mangroves, then to build a hotel or some sort of building, it is important that you take into consideration the impact putting that building on that particular piece of land will cause. And our business is to look at the impacts, to see how we can mitigate those impacts, and to see how best we can manage those scenarios. So in every case that we do, whether it is in constructing a road highway, which disrupts the natural ecosystems, and also disrupts communities and livelihoods, we do these studies and impact assessments, whether it is just an environmental impact assessment, which covers a gamut of areas. It takes in the environment, the natural resources, it takes in the social aspects, it also looks at the economic.
I'm glad you went to social, because a lot of times when we look at the environment, it just comes to mind the ecological.
Right.
But you're saying in doing that impact assessment, we now have to look at the wholesome figure,
Yes.
not just the grass or the mangrove that has been disrupted, but then there's an entire spectrum of things.
Exactly, because we as people, we occupy land, and wherever that we are going to do a development, there is not just unless it's a green field, what we call a green field development. Normally, there are communities that are affected, and how do we treat with those communities? For instance, there can be conflicts that arise from major developments in an area, which if you're going to deprive a community of utilities, for instance, or do you have sufficient power supplies so that the communities are not affected? Do you have sufficient water resources to service that community? Is there justice for the communities in that you're not going to just take those water resources and service the new commercial development, but to ensure that communities are not left out. So when we do environmental impact assessments, we look at all those factors. It's a holistic approach of managing your environment. So we are mindful that businesses need to make profit. But in making a profit, we have to take into consideration the source of that profit. How much do...
And the sustainability.
Exactly. And we're talking about sustainable development. And that is not just looking at what is happening now, but what is going to happen in the future and how it's going to impact future generations. Are we using up our resources and not allowing for future generations to have the benefit of those resources?
How does companies like yours manage though, Ruth? Because when you have an investor, foreign direct investments, for example, bringing billions of hard currency, US dollars, for example, and you look at the jobs that could come and all of that, but then you know realistically, boy, the mangroves are going to be destroyed, and therefore we might have some flooding, the fish stock will die. How do you balance that equation to get the people looking for jobs to understand that it's in your interest and not against you?
We have to look long term, medium and long term, not the immediate gains that can be made just during the time of construction, for instance. So we have to look beyond construction. So even doing our impact assessments, we look at the various phases that the development will take place and how it will impact the future. Luckily, in Jamaica, we have a fairly good regulatory system. And for every major development, they require environmental impact studies or assessments or social impact assessments to be done. And we have to look at the ecology, we have to look at the land, we have to look at the drainage, we have to look at a number of factors to ensure that we are going to benefit and the investor is not going to lose out.
Of course.
And I would like to point out that as a stock exchange, you have advanced very well in going into the green and sustainable bond area.
Of course.
And many countries have already adopted what we call ESG reporting, environment, social, and governance reporting. For Jamaica, that is going to become even more important because to be on the stock exchange, companies are requiring that you have your environmental governance in place, that you have your social governance in place, as well as your boardrooms, your overall governance. Is there diversity? Is there gender balance? Is there merit to promotions. And those are factors that the Generation Z is looking at
Ruth,
when
you
they
are touching on some areas that people would have never associated with, with environmental studies at all.
well, you see,
But you were saying on Gen Z.
yes, they are going to be investing and have been, they are more conscious of the environment. So in order for them to invest in a stock, they are going to look at your sustainability report. They're going to look at your ESG. You're going to look at how well you are managing your business within the context of sound environmental management. Are you engaging in practices that conserve? Are you having water management practices, for instance, in your business? Do you use low flow shower heads, for instance? Do you have a water harvesting program? Are you using, reusing, recycling as much as possible? And so they are quite conscious, Gen Z, and soon you are going to find that they are not going to be investing in companies that have some sort of reputational damage caused by environmental.
That sounds like a first world standard. Do you think Jamaica is at that level in terms of our approach?
Absolutely. The globe has shrunk, and many of our financial institutions, for instance, are headquartered elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And they have to abide by the Equator principles, principles that look at sound environmental management, as I said before, social responsibility, corporate social responsibility. Are they investing again back in the communities in which they are? And even for our diaspora, if they are interested in investing in companies or coming to set up businesses in Jamaica, they are going to be required to abide by the regulatory requirements for instance, our National Environment and Protection Agency, which sets out the requirements for conducting any type of development.
There you have it, viewers. We've been talking with Ruth Potopsingh, technical advisor to environmental solutions, and she's been giving us solutions as to how to sustainably grow your profits with sound environmental practices. We have another segment of this interview for you. Please come back with us. But remember, we give you information to make better financial decisions. Come back with us tomorrow morning at 9. Another wonderful program lined up for you.